Well, good morning, everybody. I know at least Mr. Troy is there. Good morning, Diego. I heard the whistle. This is Patricia and David, Gulf Harbour Radio on H752, where we actually have rather a nice morning today. It's only about 10% cloud cover, no rain in sight for a change, and it is a little bit on the cool side, 15 degrees compared to what you folk are reporting in the tropics. Oh, and I should say good morning to our listeners in the United States. You wouldn't believe this, but when we have a look at the analytics for streaming, there are there's about the same number of people listening in the United States as listening from Fiji. Really weird, but we do know quite a few cruisers have taken the year off and gone back to the States for a spell of summer in the United States. So, and then of course there's the odd one or two that's interested probably in coming to this part of the world. So good morning to everybody listening on streaming. But yes, it is a good day here, and we had quite a few people head off yesterday. They won't be hearing us, they'll still be in our skip, but our progress is pretty good with the southerly winds. We actually have 10 knots of southwest wind here at Gulf Harbour, although looking out the window, we're a bit protected where I view our deck out the window. A barometer of 1016 and steady. So pretty good conditions here, and those folk that are heading out, Eagle's Wings even reported they'd started stripping off layers, so it's obviously getting warmer not too far away from the coast. So hopefully they're all having a good sail. I'll try and find Outsider Australia in a minute, so get yourselves to the radio. They're on their way from Fiji to Tanna in Vanuatu. But I wanted to tell you, we've got a very interesting email from Alcyon, who are in the southern Lao at an atoll that I haven't heard of anyone being at before. It's Ogier, Oscar Golf Echo Alpha, Ogier Levu, and it's about 10 k's east of Thalanga, and they seem to be enjoying it rather well. Not too sure about how Monahole would go, but if it's very tranquil conditions for a while, you folk that are in Thalanga and looking at where to go next might like to check it out. Evidently, well, they report on it very, very well. There's less than 100 people there. It takes about an hour plus or minus an hour, or plus or minus an hour at high tide to get to the village for Sevu Sevu and so on. But it's very low tourism impact, kind of like Thalanga was before it got opened up. So if you're finding Thalanga just a little bit too over the top organisation-wise, then you might like to check out Ogier. It sounds very nice. Excellent.
We have heard of that.
Have you heard of it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, David has heard of it. But very good snorkeling by the sound of it. They even had a manta going between a couple of the little islets last night in poor light. So yeah, check out Ogier if you've got decent conditions for looking at it. All right, let's have a look to see and find Outsider Australia. Outsider, Gulf Harbour.
Gulf Harbour, this is Outsider. How copy?
Oh, I've got excellent copy on you, so let's go ahead, Ian, over.
Good morning. This is David. Okay, we are counting out 19302 south, 171 degrees 49 east, a force of 257 magnetic, making 7.5 knots average. Today, this morning, we have 15 knots of easterly breeze. A 1.5 metre storm in the southwest.
Oh, 25. Well, that sounds pretty pleasant. All right, Outsider Australia folks with their 15 knots of easterly, pretty decent conditions. So that will be good for the knee. 1930 and 17149. So lovely conditions. A 1.5 metre southeast swell. Bit cloudy, but boy, nice temperatures. So all is going well. Over. 1902. Don't know where I got that 3 from. 1902. Alrighty, good progress there. So keep it going, and we'll hear what David's got for you shortly. Is there anybody else on passage that wants to give us a report from sea? Nothing heard. I might ask Trevor later, closer to the 1:30, if there is anybody that I can't copy, because there'll be a few people stuck in between. I've been watching the people on the AIS, and quite a few people left yesterday, of course. Some of them were a bit slow at leaving, but I guess it took a while to clear everybody. Quite a bit of news this morning, so I'll quickly just give you an update from the Bay of Islands in the north of the Lau group. Sounds beautiful up there, calm and clear with a 1015 on the bar, 25 degrees, about 20 boats there. So quite a busy spot, but sounds very pleasant. I chuckled with Obsession there at Tongatapu, Northeast 5, and they've got the Australian Navy in town, having practice manoeuvres with their inflatables and landing craft all around them there. So they've got good prime seats to watch the entertainment. I bet it's not as good as the entertainment we got one year. We were down in the Isle of Pines, and it happened to be that the French Foreign Legion were there on holiday. And so there's wonderful, studly bodies, and the French don't seem to wear much in the way of swimsuits. Well, the males don't anyway. I suppose the females don't either, but there were all these very studly looking males having a very relaxing time in the Bay of, in the Isle of Pines. Is that where we were? Isle of Pines? Yeah. It was very easy on the eyes too, I might add. All right, Eagle's Wings left a couple of days ago, and they are at 3147 and 17443 east, with 10 to 16 knots from the south, which they consider not enough wind to get them going well, but they are motor sailing because they need to keep the pedal to the metal to get above the low. They're going to Vanuatu, and it will be light for a day, but then the wind will come in. They've got a 1 metre swell. Beautiful down in Falanga, east-southeast 5. Thank you, Trevor. 35% cloud cover. Well, it might have been Jan. Oh, and by the way, those of you who know Richard and Fran, the boat Red is now back home. It was on a ship. A lot of people are doing that these days. It came on the ship Parsifal, so it's in Tacoma, and they are now back home, and Red is for sale. Always sad to see that, mind you, but there you are. They're going to have a new life, presumably all worked out. All right, I'll just give you a little bit of quick news to keep you up to date with what's going on in the world. Volkswagen have been fined by the German courts $1.2 billion US dollars over the diesel scandal. Well, that will I'd have to sell a few VWs for that to work. Now, I know you're not interested in the World Cup, so I'm not going to tell you anything about the World Cup this year. But the 2026 World Cup is going to the US, Mexico and Canada consortium. So it'll be closer to home if you're still around in the year 2026. Oh, and for those people in Fiji, I think this is in Sabu. I remember, I think it was Whistler said that there was some filming going on. The television program, we don't have TV, but this is getting a little bit of news here. Heartbreak Hotel is being filmed in Fiji, and according to the complainants, the contestants are depicted as pieces of fleshy meat, and it's nothing but sex, something rather in money. I can't even read my own writing, but anyway, it's evidently not getting wonderful reviews by the entire population, but TV New Zealand seem to think it's certainly reaching others. So I suspect it might continue if it's getting good ratings and people are watching it. The European countries, by the way, you'll know I mentioned the other day that Mr. Trump has really upset his neighbours and friends because of the tariff things that he's put on, particularly with aluminium and iron. But the Europeans are starting to have fights amongst themselves because it is summer and there are a lot of refugees heading to Europe. 629 on a boat have been turned away from Italy and turned away from Malta, and they're now going to Valencia, Spain. Mr. Macron in France decided that that was criminal, but he wouldn't take any either, so his words weren't exactly listened to. But yes, they're starting to toughen up on the swarms of people coming up from the African and Middle Eastern states there.
It's like a virus.
Closer to home, avocados, folks, are the highest they've ever been, so I hope you're not missing avocados. $5.50. We haven't had any in this house for a while at $5.50. Sometimes you open them up and they're not worth eating, so we leave those on the shelf. And well, here's a only in America type story. A town in Massachusetts, Fitchburg. The residents have built a 19.5-meter long paper plane. It weighs about a ton. There's no plans to fly it, so why on earth would you build it? But anyway, it's there, and that's the news of the day. Okay. You can see that sometimes the newspaper gets a little bit desperate for news to fill in the
But we
spaces.
buy it for the fireplace.
We buy it for the fireplace, yes. You've got to have something to buy. All right, and news for those folk who have been following Bright Angel's trip on the way home. They have now left the Tuamotu areas and are on their way to the next port. Quite a long email has just come in, but they are heading to Hawaii, of course, and they've got very nice conditions except for the direction. East-northeast 17 to 18, 1.5 to 2 meter seas, and they are now at 16 degrees south and 149 west, so they're making good progress. It was a bit rough when they started, but they got away and left Papaiti, so all is going well now. All right, and good morning to you, Pilgrim and Anthea, Mr. Troy, all pretty decent up around where you are. Is there anybody else wanting to call in? Please try now. Oh, very light from Tonga. No, I was going to say Tongatapu, but we'll go to Vavau. Toranui, what's it like up there, Graham? Oh, sounds lovely. So, but actually, we're going to match the beautiful day here, except for your temperature. And the southeast up there in Vavau, 8 to 9. So, yeah, I have to say the Vavau area has been getting the best of everything. But looking at these reports in from Fiji this morning, it does look pretty good there. Down in Kindavu, just very light air, the odd passing shower, but nothing too bad down there. And I've forgotten where Anthea was. Namina, that's right. 15% cloud cover there and a very light easterly breeze. So, yeah, everyone's doing rather well. Mr. Troy are up at Albert Cove and it's not even raining. Wow, make the most of that, Diego and Marina. Okay, is there anybody else before I pass the microphone? Any relays? I'm not sure whether what I'm hearing is for us or somebody else. Oh my goodness. Well, they've got a bit more work to do with their radio. Graham, I presume Revilo are near where you are, but there is no copy here. And hopefully Craig did bring a lot of copper foil with him, but he needs to do a bit more on the ground plane. So can't hear you here. What was their signal like with you, Trevor? Over. Oh wow! All right. So just have a check of the radio, and I'll give you a call after David's finished the weather, and we'll see whether we can hear you here. But certainly nothing at this point in time. All right, here's David with the weather.
All right, good morning. And our shortwave trough axis, it's now east of New Zealand, and with it and underneath it is our depression. And it was a depressing depression, that's for sure. East of Cook Strait now, that's where it's located. Now, as yesterday, we had that upper ridge in the Tasman still there, and it's supporting a weak high that's just to the east of Brisbane and south of Newcastle, so right in that general area. We've got a high. Further west, another 500 millibar shortwave, which we talked about yesterday, has produced and is maintaining a very large complex low, and that's pushing a number of troughs out onto the Tasman. One such trough arcs to the north, and then it swings west to Brisbane, so it's got a tentacle reach quite a ways north. Now, our old depression, the one that's to the east of Cook Strait, actually has turned into a complex depression, and it's sending a series of troughs across the cruising route. So that means all the people that left yesterday, Tuesday and Wednesday, are going to be bumping into these troughs. They, of course, will be most annoying. Not really a big worry. They're, of course, going to produce squally weather and some strong winds for just a little bit, but it's not anything that's going to last for a period of time. But anyway, if you're underway, be aware of them. And of course, that's where the radar comes in at night. You can see these squalls coming and track them. It's kind of interesting to see how they track in comparison to the winds. Now, one such of these troughs runs from 28 and 170 east to 35 in the dateline. So you can draw a line there and see where that trough is. Another just to the north of that, almost paralleling. And then a third one runs just east of Minerva, and it goes on to Tonga, lower Tonga, down Tonga Tapu area. It goes on to Fiji from there. And while we're at it, another one runs right up through Vanuatu, and cloud actually from this system is reaching the Loyalties, and some of the cloud is getting to Newcastle itself. And the last one that I see on the satellite is running from Rotuma, and it goes to the north, just to the north of Tokelau, and then it goes on to the Northern Cooks. And well, I hope this isn't the beginning for the Northern Cooks. Those of you that remember last season, the Northern Cooks, I don't think there was a day gone by that they didn't have the effects of one trough or another. Those underway again are going to have fairly light air between 35 and 30. They're probably not going to hear us until they get up to 30. But between 35 and 30, there's not much wind, mainly because of the high setting there. What there is subtle quadrant. By Saturday, the fleet should be at 30 south, based upon my average speeds that I give them. Things still are going to be okay by Saturday. Light to moderate air. If you're east of 175 east, and those of you who are getting easting in would be there, you'll have southeast winds around 10 knots. But a bit of headwinds if you're west of there. So that's why we recommend, we don't recommend anything. That's why we suggest you think about going and putting in a little bit of easting. So anyway, probably would be a motor sail if you're to the west of that line to keep your speed up. Now by Monday, everybody should be about 25 south. And this is sort of a pivotal day as our high that has been sitting there and doing a little bit of development is now moving to the east. And it's rising in central pressure by then up to about a 1028. And it will have gone out to about 170 west. And actually more precisely on the center, if you put a little mark on your chart at 30 and 170, and then draw a line from there to New Caledonia, that's the axis of the ridge, So what this means is winds below this axis are northwesterlies, but above the axis, they're easterly quadrant. So that's why it's important to get up there as soon as you can. So again, it's important to be north of 25 south. Now by early Tuesday, of next week. That's, I believe, the 19th. The cold front that we are talking about, have been talking about, and that's coming from that big low that secondary upper level trough is supporting. It's going to run from 30 in the date line to New Caledonia, so you can draw another line, and that'll be Tuesday, the 19th of June. And of course, quite obviously, New Caledonia is going to be in the poo at that point. Winds west of that line, or actually west of 175 east, really, should be northerly quadrant. So there's headwinds then for Vanuatu and New Caledonia by then. But the yachts that are going to Fiji, if you're at 20 south, you'll probably have east-northeast winds. And if you have put in your easterly, then that won't be so bad. You'll probably be beating, but at least you won't have to tack, I don't think. And then, if you're at Tongatapu, and you should be by then, Tongatapu should have easterlies at that point. And like I say, all the Tonga-bound yachts should have arrived by then if you have maintained your target speed, and that's a little over 6 days. And we have done it certainly a number of times in that time period, so there's no reason why you can't either. Our yacht's not all that fast. Now, the Fiji yachts are going to find late Tuesday the winds are going to back to the northeast, so again, that's where that easting comes in, but a little bit of luck, you'll soon be arriving. Now, for the slower yachts, the ones that really haven't gotten up there yet, I'm afraid it's going to be all northerly quadrant after Tuesday, and the frontal band is probably going to reach Fiji maybe about Thursday. That's a long way away. That's a week away. And the way the models have been now, and as you heard the other day when I did this little analysis, that's asking quite a bit for accuracy, but that's what it's looking at as an idea. So let's turn our attention now to the islands, where Tongatapu is entertaining the edge of a moderately active trough, quite visible on satellite imagery. So expect cloud and showers there. It's hot too. You'll be looking at about 29C. 29C, that's not for me. Winds east-northeast, but fairly light. Southeasterlies for Friday. They'll be in the, I'd say 10 to 15 knot range on Friday. Now, have we heard from yachts in the Hapais?
No, nothing.
No, we haven't heard from any yachts in the Hapais, so I'm going to skip that area. No point in wasting our time. For that, we'll move right to Babao, where we do have quite a few boats. And imagery does show partly cloudy conditions. There may have been a few sprinkles this morning. I'd have to ask Ram if he had rain. He probably wouldn't know. He was sleeping, I bet. But I do see broken cloud at 5 a.m. on imagery. And the early part of that run, of that loop, definitely there were some rain clouds over Babao. They moved off fairly quickly. Now, I'm seeing winds east to east-northeast in the 15 knot range by around lunchtime. And well, even now. So the reports that we've got of southeasterlies, that doesn't agree with the model, but we have to go by what the actual report is. However, I do have them veering to east-southeast later today. Now, the other strange thing is at the airport today, I'm able to get all of the airport reports, and I do that from time to time. And as the season goes on, I usually do it every day to see what the real conditions are. So at the airport, the winds were also east-northeast, so they agreed with the model. Very light, 6 knots, so it doesn't take much in the way of orographics to move that wind around. So I wouldn't make much of it when the winds are as light as they are. Anyhow, back at that airport, they had scattered cloud at 1,700 feet, so fairly low cloud. And the temperature was 25, the dew point was 23, so very, very humid conditions. And the barometer, if you guys want to check it, 1016. Fiji is in and out of a rather broken trough. The loop shows cloud just coming and going, many breaks in between. So I would expect a day with lots of passing cloud. There'll be some scattered showers, particularly in the Big Islands. You know, the normal stuff happens every day in the tropics there, particularly in Fiji, as the wind hits those hills and rises. The other main wind direction that I can see, the main wind flow, looks to be southeasterlies, about 15 to 20. Now, Rotuma, if anybody is up there, is not as lucky because they've got a fair amount of rain as the trough, not the same trough as on the parent Fiji, but a different trough. Well, it's sitting right over Rotuma. So back to Fiji proper, expect winds in the passes to be a little bit fresh. There'll be a good 20 knots plus, particularly for Tui Ra, and also a bit breezy in the southwest corner of Viti Levu. It's always breezy there. More wind for Fiji open waters tomorrow. Still roughly southeast, but I think they're going to be predominantly in the 20 knot range. Radar this morning shows scattered showers, especially through Tui Ra. Quite a bit of shower activity there, and some in the Koro Sea. Now, Nandi radar is not working. I hope they get their act together this year. Last season we had so many outages on radar. It was quite annoying because the radar imagery is quite useful to support what we're seeing on the models and to let you know what's out there if you're not quite in that area but plan on going there. So anyway, that's a shame. Hope to get it fixed. Over to Vanuatu now. Imagery shows quite a bit of cloud over the group. Most of the rain is in the north. The banks all the way down to Santo and Mayo, kind of up in that area. And this is as of about 5 a.m. this morning on the satellite loop. Also, shower activity was pretty obvious between Erromango and Anisha. Not constant showers, just off and on. Winds by lunch for the open water, east to east southeast, and a good 20 knots from Epi southward, but a bit lighter if you're north of Epi. I'd say in the 15 to 20 knot range. And tomorrow, fresh winds look to continue for all of Vanuatu. And a fair amount of cloud for Newcal this morning, but I think plenty of opportunity for the sun to break through. Winds in our southern lagoon, east-southeast, around 15. And for the Loyalty, well, the Loyalties, I see quite a bit of rain. Easterlies 15 to 20. They're feeling that trough. And also pretty much the same, I think, weather tomorrow as what I just gave you for both the Loyalties and our southern lagoon. And up Samoa, just briefly looking at Samoa, fresh winds there, east-southeast about 20 offshore waters, and mostly the same for tomorrow for Samoa. I think 1 or 2 yachts are there and thinking about leaving sometime this week, I think they said, not sure. Okay, that's it from me. Any questions or comments come now. And here is the chief.
And I forgot about Heatwave and the Hawkeyes, so but they seem to be enjoying life where they are, so we'll remember you tomorrow. By the way, I've just actually recovered the route of Heatwave from diverting to Africa, I think it was, and back again. Be very careful, folks, when you put your reports into the YIT site. Just make sure, double check the position. If you need it corrected, let me know, but sometimes people leave off a digit and you end up in Africa, and sometimes the east and west gets confused, but make sure that you just double check. If anything you check, make sure you check the position, because that's pretty critical for making your track look sensible. Okay, I'm going to see if Revilo, sorry, they pronounce it Revilo, Gulf Harbour Radio. Well, I've got a very light copy of you now. It's actually not all that great to Tonga this morning, but go ahead. I'm going to see if I can take down a position, Craig. That'll give me a good idea of how good the signal is. Go ahead. Well, I'm not getting anything here except a lot of crackles. I wonder if the microphone needs a bit of attention. Talking about microphones, Another Adventure have got a problem with their microphone jack, but there's a lot of snap and crackle, and I'm not getting any signal from you at all. So, first of all, I did get the first call. Just check you've got a big enough cable from the batteries to give you a good sustained power when you have a transmission, and then just check things through. Interesting, I reread, I had to give a talk about Gulf Harbour Radio at the local ham club last night, and I reread the thing that I wrote about installing radios, and I just do remember Trevor, who has a wonderful signal from Villamy, every year checks connections. Really, really good. Don't just put your radio in and forget it for a few years. Particularly check the connection from the antenna to the tuner. It is outside, goes through the deck. There is a couple of connections there that are really needing to be connected, to check that the connection is clean and good. Pull them apart, make sure they are good and put them back together again, and also make sure that all the grounding system is real good. But at the moment, I'm not really getting anything from Revilo. Oh, David would love to be in Tonga Tapu. Obsession are reporting that they've got landing craft all around them now. I'm just a little bit worried about you, Obsession. I hope you've lowered your New Zealand flag. I don't know. Are we friendly with Australia at the moment? I hope we are, because they're rather outnumbered there on Obsession by the Australian Navy. Okay, is there anybody else for Gulf Harbour Radio? Excel, good morning to you guys. And whereabouts are you? Over? It's, well, I wouldn't say it's booming, but it's certainly readable from Tanner and clear. But the strength is sort of about halfway, but we don't know who else might be there. Have you been up the mountain yet? Over?
There was a music opposition on that island. It's about on that.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking Tanner for some reason. Yep. And Vavau. Actually, your signal now is better than Graham's was. So, yeah, when you speak up a little bit, see, some voices are quite low. Often with the microphone, if you hold it just a little bit below the mouth and speak as if you are trying to raise somebody or give them a message if they're at the bow of the boat. So when you just speak up a little bit, I have no problem at all. Over. Yeah, your signal is definitely working. I'm getting a lot of static crashes. Is there any thunder?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, oh, I see. Yes, there is a bit of a troughing system. And when we have troughing conditions where you are, we get these static crashes, which means it's a little bit hard to hear. But the strength is pretty good. Over.
Copy that. No, that's good to know. We have used a sentence that is brought up with us. Security risk, they break in our aerial, so we are pretty clear that we are following it out.
Yeah, what did you, have you got, how did you fix the antenna? Over?
We put it down and used the long main cell resin, and some tape. Over.
Sounds a bit like what we did with ours. It wasn't pretty, but it works. So that's all you need. Over.
We've got another one.
Oh, yeah. The trouble with sending those things is that they are a bit difficult and they are a bit risky to send. But, yeah, hopefully. Well, that's interesting that it was on warranty, so that's good. All right. So that will be on its way, and hopefully, yeah, things seem to arrive in Tonga Tapu all right, but getting any further north is of often a little bit of a trial, but it doesn't really matter because there's so much to do up there anyway while you're waiting. Okay, clear with Excel. And is there anybody else? Outsider, go ahead. Yeah, I remembered that now. So Tonga Island and the Vavau group must be very pleasant being up there. We never actually got into there, did we? Because I think it was a little in Tonga Island and Vavau. From memory, it's a fairly tight getting in, or shallow, or something.
No, we didn't go there.
No, we didn't go there, says David. All right, and very good signal down to you, halfway between Fiji and Tanna, so they'll be happy about that on the good ship Excel. Good fixing. There's nothing like a good fix. All right, is there anybody else? I think that sounds like Pilgrim. Go ahead, Ron. Oh, he's still in the Hapais. Okay. In that case, we've got a couple of boats in the Hapais, so we better cover that again tomorrow. Thank you. So he's been busy installing the radio that he bought before he left. Thanks, Ron. All right, I'll just make a note of that. Hapais. Okay, all right, well, I think that's about it for everyone, and our day is looking really beautiful, so David must be getting excited about going for a good walk today. He doesn't look excited, but I'm sure he will be. So we will be back again tomorrow, folks, same time, same place. The frequency 8752 is now all yours. Cheers all.